Soulmates. How are you today? Welcome to this Tuesday. Plenty to chat about. Welcome to FOXSOUL's Black Report. We're following the latest efforts in Mississippi after a nearly all black area is destroyed and the south side of Chicago. There's a man there that's helping those displaced. I'm Courtney Hicks.
And I'm Lee Thomas in for Nicordelai Corte. Plus, we'll talk about the social media move that is now being considered called digital blackface. First time I heard it, I was like,
too.
what?
I was like, what's
digital
going on here?
What y'all trying to do?
Something new.
I know. All right, we'll get into that. And Suge Knight could be making his way to the silver screen. Those stories that impact our people.
That's right up your alley. We're going to talk about that for sure. We're going to bring you our news, our views, and our voice. So let's get into our top conversation today, Lee. An American couple from Florida visiting Haiti has been kidnapped from a bus along with their friend who was escorting them while traveling from Port-au-Prince. Now, this is according to their family. Jean Dickens Toussaint and Abigail Toussaint were in Haiti to visit relatives and attend a community festival. Now, the kidnappers initially demanded $6,000 for the couple's release, which increased to $200,000 per person after that initial amount was sent. Now, the family has reached out to the U.S. Embassy and the Department of Homeland Security for help. The State Department warns Americans against traveling to Haiti due to kidnapping, crime, and civil arrests. And when I first heard this story, Lee, my skin just crawled because I'm just so concerned about their safety. We've seen all of the havoc and the disarray that continues to plague that particular country, that island. And it is just a scary thought to think that your family members are being held captive for ransom. You try to accommodate, and now they want more.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where those travel bans that are issued by the United States are very serious. Some countries are in civil unrest that we have no say or control in, and the only thing we can do as a country is to try through diplomatic methods to try and get those people home. It is so incredibly sad, and you saw we had to blur the face out of the baby that they share together, but their entire family is missing them, and they already gave up some cash, but then the amount got bigger, and then if you give more cash, will the amount then get bigger? So the American government needs to get involved, and I'm sure Haiti does not want that because we are a big government. So please bring our people home.
They don't want that drama.
They do not.
Yeah.
They do not.
Let's get them home.
Yeah. Now, the Justice Department is also investigating possible civil rights violations by the Rankin County Sheriff's Department. This is in Mississippi. Now, this investigation follows a report that revealed at least 4 violent encounters with black men since 2019. Now, these encounters resulted in 2 deaths and permanent injuries. Now, members of the Sheriff's Special Response Team, which received advanced training, were involved in each of the 4 incidents. Now, the Sheriff's Department has denied access to the deputies involved and has also not said whether they were presented a search warrant when these incidents happened. Now, this is one of those things where you back off of it and say, it's Mississippi. What are they doing? Why do they not have oversight? And how can they just bar access because they feel like it?
Yeah, it goes back to that blue culture, and we've talked about this on FOXSOUL's Black Report time and time again. You're gonna keep getting these probes, you're gonna keep getting these lawsuits, you're gonna keep paying out this money, especially when people find those in blue at fault. And so what that tells me is we must look beyond the shield and get into this culture and get into this training and how we need to redirect and reposition the thinking and the doing and the policy of these police departments so they don't keep resulting in situations like this.
You know, and also, much like what we do here on the Black Report, we need to keep shining light on this subject so it doesn't go into the darkness, because if they're allowed to proceed without oversight and even in public view, anything could happen to the people involved and the families involved. So tweet about it, talk about it, post about it, and continue to watch the Black Report, because we are definitely about it.
That's right.
Now, meanwhile, people in Mississippi are still assessing the damage of the tornado that ripped through the state on Friday night.
Yeah, at least 21 people have been killed since the twister ripped through 4 counties. And now a state of emergency is in place with no word of help in sight. Fox's Jackie Ibanez has the latest.
Extreme pain and sadness still ringing out across large portions of western Mississippi. Recovery efforts here are expected to be long and difficult after Friday night's deadly tornado struck one of the poorest areas in the country.
I didn't think I was going to make it out.
The National Weather Service categorized the twister as an EF4 with wind speeds between 166 and 200 miles per hour.
People were displaced from their homes and tossed and thrown and spinned and dropped.
For roughly 1 hour, the massive tornado traveled through more than half a dozen towns, flattening people's homes right on top of them.
And that's when I heard the wind blowing real hard, so I ran back over here to this bathroom right here. And I ran and hopped in that tub.
Well, I've always known not to take life for granted. It can be taken, and it's always been proven. It'll just got proved again.
Some of the hardest hit areas like Sharkey and Humphreys counties have poverty rates of 35% and 33% respectively. For comparison, the average poverty rate for the entire U.S. is less than 12%. Because many lack the funds and resources, socioeconomic experts say it can be even harder for poor communities to build back after this kind of devastation.
There's a psychological need, again, grief, there's loss. Someone just needs to talk. I'm here.
Absolutely a devastated community there, a majority black town. Soulmates, these are our people. So, you know, give, and give. You can go online. There's a myriad of ways to go about helping our folks. You've got the Red Cross, you got GoFundMe. Just make sure they're all legit. Make sure you're crossing your T's and dotting your I's, especially if you're sending something monetary. There are a lot of communities in and around the country that are, you know, sponsoring drives, and you can bring in goods. Just think about if you were in this situation, what you would need. There is nothing left in this town. So we're talking about clothing. We're talking about non-perishable canned goods. We're talking about baby needs. We're talking about, you know, whatever you would need on a day-to-day basis to live and to thrive. This is what they need, and then some.
And the devastation that we saw down there is something like I've never seen before. A complete town decimated. Lives lost. So yes, if you can help, please reach out to those people and help if you can.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to stay in Mississippi. What is going on in Mississippi? We're going to stay in Mississippi. A woman named Khadijah Michelle Brown was arrested for shooting and killing her husband, Jeremy Brown, during an argument that turned very physical. You may have seen this as the shooting was captured live on Facebook. Police found a gun and other evidence at the scene, and there was a history of domestic violence between the couple. Brown has been charged now with murder. It was just unbelievable. I saw this hit social media, and you know, I don't know what Meta, that's the, you know, the Facebook folks, I don't know what they're going to have to do to better monitor, because you want to give people the freedom, users the freedom to go live and do what we do on social media. But when events like this happens, it kind of, you know, gives you pause as to, you know, what else people could choose to do when they go live. It was a harrowing video.
And more than Meta, every social media site that has the ability to go live has to deal with this possibility, because we are seeing this happen more and more. And I wonder what the long-term effects on all of us are when it comes to social media, how now we're talking about, you know, 129 school shootings happening in 86 days in our country, and it's not even staying at the top of the news as long as it does usually. So as we become desensitized,
I was going to say, it's almost like we're normalizing
watching violence. What does that mean for our society?
And then I was reading too, with this case, it apparently happened in front of their children. So the choice to do that in front of their children. So how they're going to be traumatized for the remainder of their lives. So we're hoping, you know, mentally they can get the help that they're going to need and the support that they're going to need to move through this.
Entire society, any kid that was watching, it's our children that are watching. So it's something that's going to have to be addressed.
Indeed.
Yeah. Let's talk about protesters demanding autonomy for D.C. after a Republican-led effort nullifying criminal code reform. Now, a similar trend is playing out across the nation, where Republican state legislatures in heavily populated black cities are seizing authority over city governments. Activists say it's a racist and political agenda Recent examples include Missouri Republicans seeking control over law enforcement in St. Louis, and Mississippi's GOP pushing legislation to overhaul the police and court system in Jackson, a predominantly black city. Now, also Texas taking over the school district in Houston. Critics say it's a desperate attempt to control black cities and communities. It is interesting how politics have turned into ways of control
and manipulation.
And that's why we have to stay engaged in the political system so that people who live in a city, in a state, in a school district can have a say in what happens in that city and school district, and who polices that city and school district, because all of those things are so very important. Not only who polices it, but how they police.
Yeah, and that story mentioned a couple of other cities, but I know Mississippi has been, at the forefront. Jackson, Mississippi has been at the forefront of this conversation, as what they're proposing is like a throwback to Jim Crow, as many are saying. Look, we are the ones, our soulmates who are, living in these cities, and how all of this policy can come about. And I know the GOP controls it, but if we have to force our way into these conversations, force our way into the room, and shame on the GOP. I think it's a disgrace for them not to include those who live there in the process, in the decision making. And so that's why I think they go wrong and they go left, aside from this being somewhat of a throwback to Jim Crow law. So we just have to stay as a community, as a village, vigilant to make sure that these things, if in fact they do get passed because of the domination, that we continue the good fight.
Have to.
Yeah, that's right.
Stay engaged.
All right, speaking of the good fight, Sheila Jackson Lee, who has represented Texas's 18th congressional district since 1995, announced her candidacy for Houston mayor at City Cathedral Church. The incumbent mayor, Sylvester Turner, is term limited, and so Jackson Lee joins a crowded field that includes State Senator John Whitmer, former Harris County Clerk Chris Hollins, House City Council member Robert Gallegos, that's it, former Houston Metropolitan Transit Authority Chairman Gilbert Garcia, and former City Council member Amanda Edwards. Now, the election is set for November 7th, and Jackson Lee will not have to leave her congressional seat to run. Representative Sylvia Garcia has endorsed Whitmer. That's going to be a hot and heavy and contested race. I know that the current mayor, Mr. Sylvester, has done some wonderful work in the city of Houston. A lot of that was disrupted, put on hold because of COVID-19, and then they've had some horrible weather events, including flooding, that put a lot of projects on the back burner, especially for elderly and affordable housing. But he's been able to get those projects up and running again, and I know for some in Houston, he's a favorite, but this is going to be an interesting race as to who they're going to want to see to keep that momentum going, and who's going to be able to keep it going.
It's always interesting to me when an elected official goes from one part of politics into another, from federal to state, and these are the same people that may have voted for both of them at different times. So then you have to come in and make a distinction of who you are and what you're doing different, and then the people have to make a distinct choice.
That's right.
And that's a hard one. That's a hard one when it's two people that you believe in, who is best for going forward. So Houston, do your research, make your choices.
And vote.
Yeah, definitely vote. A civil rights attorney, Lee Merritt, was arrested alongside two others in McKinney, Texas during a protest in memory of Marvin Scott III. Now, the protest was held on Sunday, but you may remember 2 years after Marvin Scott III died during a struggle with jail guards following his arrest for marijuana possession. Merritt, 40, was arrested on charges of obstructing a roadway and unlawfully carrying a weapon, and was released on Monday. Now, the demonstration led to the arrest of Scott's sister, Lacey, thank you, Bates, and a photojournalist as well. 7 detention officers were fired, and another resigned over Scott's death, which was ruled a homicide.
Wow, that's You know, I remember that case, but, you know, moving back into the arrest of Lee Merritt, you know, you see him, you know, pretty much everywhere, unfortunately, with the type of cases that we, you know, continue to encounter. What I love about him is he is consistent, and he's one of the new faces. When you talk about a new generation of civil rights attorneys, he's one of those new faces. And I think he's solid, and, you know, he's obviously putting his belief behind his actions with that arrest, and we hope the best for his current situation and what he was actually fighting for.
Yeah, I appreciate him putting everything on the line for what he believes in.
Isn't that something? All right, the movie Ruby Bridges has been banned for all students at North Shore Elementary School in Florida after a parent complained it contained racial slurs and white people threatening a black character, worried that it might teach kids that white people hate black people. However, a group representing black children in that public school system is now questioning why one complaint led to a ban for all students and if the education system can serve the diverse community fairly. This comes after Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eyes was banned from all district high schools earlier this year after a parent complained about a 2-page rape scene.
This is this Ruby Bridges movie, 1998, fictitious. It's not a documentary. It's a narrative with actors
based
playing
on
roles
events.
based on true events. And it's interesting to me that one parent complaint can get a movie that's been around for decades.
That's right.
Taken out of the system, and as we see with book bannings across the country, they're erasing. Starting to try and erase things, and I don't understand the erasure of things, because if you start making history go away, it will then repeat itself, and we're setting up for it to repeat itself. We don't want, we have Holocaust museums and memorials for a reason. We have Middle Passageways exhibits for reasons, so that these things don't happen again. And so I'm interested to see where the conversation comes in, so the understanding is had why these things need to be where they are.
And if not this particular movie, there's plenty of, like you mentioned, documentaries that would accurately recall what really happened. And it's real history, and it's our history, and it's American history. And that is my hang up with what's happening in Florida.
I mean, every country has its bruises.
Yeah.
You gotta heal from those bruises.
But you gotta be honest about it.
Be honest about
Lift that veil and really get at what really happened.
Yeah, so it won't happen again.
That's right, that's right. All right, coming up, it's a new term that's carrying a lot of weight. It's called digital blackface. Lee, I'm so confused. I don't know, I can't take another term. I can't take another meme. I can't do it.
Well, we'll try to explain digital blackface and how one cable analyst says who's guilty of using digital blackface. We'll explain everything coming up. Welcome back to Fox Soul's Black Report. I'm Lee Thomas, sitting right next to Courtney Hicks.
One of my faves right here.
I appreciate you,
Courtney. We appreciate you.
We appreciate it. All right, let's talk about this one. CNN analyst John Blake claims that posting popular GIFs, photos, and videos of black public figures perpetuates racism through digital blackface.
However, many argue that his claims are unfounded and divisive, as there is no evidence to really support the idea that these images perpetuate racism. Critics also note that Blake's definition of digital blackface is overly broad and vague, ignoring the complex nuances of race and culture. I think a meme is a meme. I think maybe he might have a point depending on maybe who posted it and why, you know, what the application is. But, you know, look at Jordan here. Everybody has used that. Even Jordan has alluded to that particular.
Hide your kids. Everybody knows these. I ain't got time for that. I got bronchitis. Here's the thing that, to me, if you want to talk about something that could possibly be focusing on race, it's him. Because you have all the memes out there for everything that you can use, from animals with eyes bulging to white men to Asian people to women, all kinds of memes out there.
So do you think it's about who can use it?
He specifically pointed out the black people memes and said, you can't use them.
But is he saying that when white people use it, you can't use it? No, let's go back to Mississippi, where the anchor said, for shizzle my nizzle, and we got clearance to say that. You know, we understood, what that meant. Maybe she didn't. Should she have been fired for that? Was it within context because they were talking about Snoop Dogg? I mean, this kind of rides along the same line as to, is it a problem when someone, of another race posts these type of memes or says something like that?
I guess it could be. The conversation is one thing. As a broadcaster, you have to do your research before words come out of your mouth.
This is
and sometimes you have to go through legal before words come out of your mouth.
Which we did for Shizzle Mine,
right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
But the meme conversation is about pictures that go around the globe. And so using a meme is different than being responsible for the words that you say.
Okay.
But I will also say that if we're going to start picking out different things to not make fun of because people are offended, maybe pictures should be included in that.
That's a good point. That's a good point. The debate will continue.
I'm sure
Digital
it will.
blackface.
Yeah, but
we got another one to add to the list.
Some of those memes are funny, though.
They're hilarious.
I'm going to do what I'm going to do.
Yeah. All right, let's go to Chicago, where a Southside man with at least 35 relatives in Rolling Fork, Mississippi, was among those watching reports of the deadly tornado that hit in that area. Zach Briscoe said it is heartbreaking to hear his aunties describe the encounter, feeling the vortex, pulling them up and having to link arms to stay grounded. Now, the American Red Cross branches from across the country, we mentioned this earlier, are sending volunteers and team members, including mental health specialists. So any way you can help, please do so. Think about, if your home was just obliterated by a tornado, what you would need, but not just a home, an entire community. And mostly this community is like, I think I read like 98% black. So it is our people, it's our soulmates that need this help immediately.
Yeah, and I am with him. I understand it's his family members, but to hear the stories that come out of that region from that tornado,
they have been heartbreaking.
And the thing is, they have nothing to go back to.
Nothing.
Cars on top of houses, on top of cars. It's unthinkable for me. So
non-perishable food items. Think about, you've got to wash your clothes. I've seen times when, companies will supply, washer machines and dryers. We just don't think about these things because they're at our, at our convenience. But they're going to need everything to begin to rebuild. For sure.
The CDC has issued an alert regarding Brazilian butt lifts, or BBLs, which have become popular in cosmetic surgery. Now, the agency posted on Instagram that if patients show signs of infection after the surgery, they should seek medical attention and report it to the health department. The CDC received reports of infections related to the procedure, but not releasing more information. They do not release more information. Patients should seek treatment if the infection or the area is infected, turns red, warm, or becomes tender, has drainage, or if they experience fever, chills, or other symptoms. And this is something that has been on my radar just in the last 6 months, because before that, I didn't pay much attention to it. People go down to wherever they go, Mexico, wherever they're going to get it done.
But you probably saw a BBL and didn't know that was
I have no idea. I don't know the difference in real or not real.
Some of them look great and are very, very natural. Some of them, I think folks have gone a little bit overboard. Here's the thing, they are really discouraging folks from going, overseas to do that out of the country because their medical systems are not as heavily monitored, or they don't require some of the things that we require here in the U.S. and you can really mess around and get some ill care, if you will, as we have read from time to time. But I think it's about safety, and I think for women it may be about vanity. Some women are going to get these.
I don't understand it. I don't understand. Why would you do that? Why would you inject something?
I think it's no different from maybe having your nose done, or women have their eyes done or their lips done. I think it's along the same line.
You don't sit on your nose.
That's true, but let me tell you something. These women are transforming their bodies, and they are transforming their lives. And if you see these before and after pictures, and these surgeons out here are performing miracles, like
Wow.
Jesus in the Bible, miracles.
Okay.
I'm gonna show you. I'll show you some before and afters. It's really amazing work. The concern is just the safety, and then the concern is also what these, sisters, these soulmates are doing to get up the money to get these BBLs. You tax returns and you're cheating the kids out of school clothes and things like that. So there's that, but it's about safety, and I would suggest staying stateside to get anything done. I know the prices are much cheaper abroad, but it's just the safety and the travel that's so hard on you after that surgery.
I think each woman is beautiful just the way they are.
Lee.
They have something beautiful about each of them.
For a reason.
Yeah, that's just the truth.
But I got to put you down on what the BBLs look like, so you'll know what you're looking at, honey.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on here. The U.S. State Department is facing an unprecedented demand for passports due to the return of travel post-COVID-19. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken was talking about this. He says the department receives about $500,000 passport applications in a week, which is about 30 to 40% higher than last year. The pandemic, of course, caused a significant decrease in demand, but now the travel restrictions have been lifted, the veil has been lifted, and everybody is out here traveling back and forth and to and from. Now, to tackle the backlog, Blinken and his staff plan to boost resources and staff, authorize overtime, and open satellite offices. That'd be helpful. Now, the State Department is prioritizing visas that have an economic impact, particularly students, temporary workers, business travelers, and maritime crews.
I think this is fallout from, of course, the pandemic where everybody was locked up.
And
the other thing that's the confluence of events is we have our phones and we can hop on whatever source and look at what's happening in Rio, in Brazil. We can go on the coast of Spain in a heartbeat, and everybody's out there living their best life. I'm an expat and I moved to wherever, and I'm like, you did what? Okay.
But you know what? Even prior to the pandemic, soulmates, black folks, we were getting out there. There's this whole black travel movement across social media. A lot of different accounts.
Don't even mention Ghana.
Right.
Everybody's trying to go to Ghana.
A lot of different accounts that you can follow where people are going to places that I don't think we ever considered going before. Now, I would suggest folks pay attention to the State Department and where they're suggesting that we don't go. So pay attention to that. But if you can, get out there and make it happen and go see other societies outside of what we do on the block and in the village and the community here in the States, go for it. But we are out there. Black folks are out there.
I think we should be, because black folks are different around the globe.
Yeah.
And getting to see how they live and how things are done. And some of those, and I keep talking about Africa, but some of those places in Africa that are completely run by all faces that look familiar
we need to
are
see
amazing.
That's right.
Really amazing cities
and
out
do
there.
do your reading, do your research, because you've got travelers coming back blogging saying, hey, I didn't feel this country was as friendly as this country. So do your research, before you book those tickets, and just get out there and have a wonderful time and stay safe, stay vigilant about your safety.
And get your passport early.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are trying to get it.
I know.
It takes a few months.
It does. Or you're going to fly into a satellite office and try to book an appointment and get a passport at the last minute, paying a whole bunch of money. You could have bought the country you about to go visit for as much as they're going to charge you for that last minute passport. All right, still ahead, free at last. The real life Hotel Rwanda hero is free.
Yeah, I love that movie, Hotel Rwanda, but it was based on a real person.
That's right.
Now, we'll have more on his release and his inspiring story when we return. You are watching Fox Soul's Black Report. Welcome back to Fox Soul's Black Report. Stephanie Young, a veteran Democratic aide and former executive director for Michelle Obama, she has been picked to be Vice President Kamala Harris's new senior advisor.
Okay, Young's focus will be on messaging and outreach. Her role is a new position for the Vice President's office. It will take a bird's eye approach to manage Harris's overall communications platform and political engagement, but not fill the role of a day-to-day communications director.
Yeah, Jamal Simmons, her second communications director in 2 years, departed from the office New Year's, he said, for family reasons. So congratulations to Stephanie Young.
And I love the fashion sense here. That looks amazing. She looks amazing. And
She
I
does.
know the VP has had some difficulty, retaining, staff. There's kind of been an open door back and forth thing going on. So hopefully this addition, will stick and stay and continue to enhance the office of the VP.
We can ask Nick Quarterly what's
he comes
happening,
back.
because he's hanging out with the vice president.
He's in Africa with the vice president.
So we can just say, what's up with that?
So what's happening?
What's up with
going
that?
on?
He can give us the breakdown.
You are funny. All
but
right.
no, congratulations to her.
And it's
I
wonderful
hope
to see that color. We're still seeing color. And I think behind the scenes, we really don't get to see now how really diverse the White House has become. We see what we see, on a day-to-day basis if you pay attention to the news, or maybe if you Google and do a little research. But, from what I'm hearing, the folks that we don't see are of color. And it's just a totally different White House from just a time ago. And you are seeing a lot more diversity, not just in skin color, but different walks of life.
Yeah, and understanding the mechanisms of what happens to make a vice president or even a president's job happen is so very important. And once you get that view, it can translate to so many other things as we go forward.
They couldn't do anything without their support staff.
Without a doubt.
Nothing.
Without a doubt.
All righty, to Georgia now, where Madison County sheriff officials are asking the public's help to locate a bell, BELL, stolen from a historic church. Deputies said an antique bell on display outside of Wagoner's Grove Baptist Church was stolen sometime between March 19th and the 21st. So this just happened. Wagoner's Grove Baptist Church opened its doors, listen to this, in 1855 and has been a part of the Madison County community ever since. Now, it is the oldest historically black church in Madison County and one of the oldest in the state of Georgia. If y'all don't bring them people's bell back, and I'm hoping this is not a hate crime. That's the first thing that came to mind.
Yeah, and when something like this happens, you go, why would y'all do that?
Yeah,
Like, who wants to do that? Is it a prank?
Right,
Kids
like a
doing
high school prank or something.
Whatever it is, find the bell and bring it back. Its historic significance is beyond
So
anything you need it for. Just bring it back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's hop into some international news. And it's about a man named Paul Rusesabagina. He was portrayed by Don Cheadle as the hero in Hotel Rwanda.
You're my hero for being able to get that.
Oh yeah,
you just rolled through that last name.
And it's a movie that I love.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. And the movie was released, Hotel Rwanda was released from Rwandan prison. Paul was, not the movie. He was released from a prison on Friday after his sentence was commuted following intense diplomatic efforts by the United States. Now, he was accompanied by a U.S. Embassy official, that's him right there, Paul Rusesabagina. Wow. And it's interesting because I remember when the movie came out and he was much younger. Anyway, officials watched him being removed from prison, and he has residency at the Qatar Embassy in Kigali, Uganda. He was released and sent there late Friday, according to the Biden administration. Now, he was sentenced back in September of 2021 to 25 years over his ties to a group that opposed Rwandan President Paul Kagame. Now, President Biden issued a statement thanking the governments of Rwanda and Qatar for making this possible. That's what I remember seeing when Bush awarded him. See how much younger he is, and yes, he's aging, but it's good to see him free.
In good health.
And
able to continue to tell his story from his perspective. Did Don Cheadle get anything for that?
He got nominated but did not win. And I'll tell you what, Hotel Rwanda is amazing. Well worth watching because it's all black faces. But when the uprise happened in that country, neighbor turned on neighbor. And his hotel was housing people for survival, and it was a brutal assault, and it was an amazing thing that he did. It's almost like a Schindler's List story where he saved people that didn't have anywhere else to go. So
there is a book that I read, a survivor. Her name is Immaculata Ibagazi. The book is called Left to Tell. If you've got a break coming or you need just some good riveting, writing and just something just going to make your heart sink, and the way she was able to survive by hiding. Wow. It is just a great read, and it really brings home, how tragic and horrific that time in Rwanda was. It was just unbelievable. The bloodshed was just unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
It was.
It
was. All right, today for Women's Her Story Month, we celebrate the vision and storytelling magic of Ava Marie DuVernay.
Ava DuVernay.
That's
I love
the girl.
her. I love her. There
we
she
love
is right
her.
there. Now, Ava was the first African-American woman to win Best Director at the Sundance Film Festival, be nominated for Best Director at the Golden Globe, direct a film nominated for Best Picture for Oscar, and direct a film with a budget of over $100 million. She is the recipient of the Primetime Emmy Award, an NAACP Image Award, a BAFTA, that's the British version of the Oscars. She has a BAFTA Award, BAFTA TV Award, as well as a nominee for an Academy Award and Golden Globe.
She's amazing. Ava DuVernay began directing at the age of 32 when she made her first short film, Saturday Night Life, which was released back in 2006. She was the first to have an all-female directing team for her hit show, Queen Sugar.
Look at you. You saw the name like Queen Sugar.
I miss it so much. I miss the come back as they wrapped up that series. And she's also the founder of Array, a Peabody Award-winning arts and social impact collective dedicated to narrative change. You know, with you being a full-on movie critic, this man has stripes and certificates. A lot of talk about her. I know there was excitement when she sort of it felt like an overnight success, but you know, she had been plowing her way for a long time.
You know, she was a publicist for movies before I knew her. Publicist for movies beforehand, and I remember when she first started doing her thing, we were like, "Go ahead, sis, do your thing."
Did people take her seriously? Did they?
Not at first, because you know how that goes. You know how that goes.
When you try to shift,
she's a black woman.
That's right.
Trying to shift into a business that she was a publicist in a role that's not in a leadership position. But I think she handled it so very well. I saw her recently. This maybe 4 years ago, before the pandemic, at the Critics' Choice Awards. Straight over to her and took a picture with her.
Wow.
So proud of everything that she's done. She's done some amazing work, and it's about the storytelling. She knows how to tell a good story.
What a gift, because, you know, what if she just kept sitting in that space as a PR person?
Yes,
and
making
what
good
if,
money, by the way.
And what if whoever she pitched her ideas to didn't take a listen or didn't believe in her? We would never have her gift of what she continues to bless us with. So I'm looking forward to meeting her one day. I just like her vibe.
Yeah, she's
good
absolutely cool. Yes.
Okay, tell her we said hey at the FOXSOUL Black Report next time you rub elbows. This superstar I'm sitting up there next to. All right, coming up, could Suge Knight be making a comeback?
I ran into him once too. I said, "Hey, Suge," and then looked down.
This was way back in the 90s. I saw him in the 90s.
Yeah.
He was scary
He's
then too.
Fella.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Lord, today.
We'll tell you about the project that he has in the works when FOXSOUL's Black Report returns.
He looks scary right there.
Doesn't
Look at him.
He's a big fella.
I know.
Thank you for sticking with FOXSOUL's Black Report on this Tuesday. Judge Joe Brown has denied allegations of sexual assault made against him by actress Sheryl Lee Ralph, who did not directly accuse him. Now, Ralph recently shared this during an interview that famous television judge sexually assaulted her.
Now, Brown decided to clear his name before any accusations could be made against him. He warned that he might take legal action for defamation of character, adding that such accusations are damaging to his reputation. What is he talking about?
Yeah, Brown emphasized his track record of protecting women and promoting manhood for the last 50 years. However, it remains unknown which judge Sheryl Lee Ralph was referring to, as she has not addressed Brown's comments.
This is what I'm not understanding. She just said, "This is what happened to me." She did not mention the judge.
Any names, right?
And here he comes. You know, hit dogs will holler. So, I mean, if it ain't you, it's not you, Judge, but you making yourself look really real guilty. Like,
I know. She didn't say nothing, so why are you? Why are you bringing yourself into this?
Exactly.
I respect that she is not mentioning a name because she wants to bring light that this happened.
Wants to bring the story.
Because she doesn't want it to happen to anyone else.
Yeah.
And whatever happened behind the scenes, we do not know. She could have sued, she could have won, she could have talked it out or handled it in her own way. But who knows who it is? But why would you say anything, Judge Joe Brown?
I don't understand that. I don't understand
Sometimes people people who are used to attention need attention.
And if it is him, and if it is him, you know, prepare in silence, because you know it eventually come out, and you want to be prepared for your side of the story, or you know whatever, however you have to protect yourself. But she didn't even mention a judge.
And Shirley
Mathis
Ralph
said it wasn't him.
And Shirley Ralph may never say who it is.
That's right.
She may never say who it is on purpose.
That's right.
And so, you know, relax.
Yeah, we'll have to keep
Relax, Judge
our
Joe
keep
Brown.
our eye on that one. Yeah. All righty. Incarcerated Death Row Records co-founder Suge Knight, we've both met him before, is working on a TV series that will delve into his life story from growing up in Compton to his music career and beyond. Now, the show will have a similar feel to BMF, you don't say, and will begin filming this summer. Now, despite serving a 28-year sentence, Knight is heavily involved in selecting a director and the actors, especially for the role of Tupac Shakur. The series will be produced by Knight and his brother Brian Brown. What say you, movie? Are you think people are interested? Do they want to know? Is it going to be from Suge's perspective? Do you think it'll be accurate?
Absolutely, I believe there is an audience for this.
Okay.
Death Row Records was like a freight train coming through the rap industry.
A scary freight train
and he
for
was
a moment.
Right in front.
Yes, he was.
Puffing on a cigar, intimidating people, and making business happen.
Yeah.
However, he did it his way.
Yeah.
Now, are people interested in the story? Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Will a lot of people watch it? Or is it specific to a brown audience? Specific to a brown audience.
Or a generation, a specific generation.
We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. You know,
because you say BMF to other people, they don't know what it is.
Exactly.
But you say it to us, we're like, oh, we know about it in Detroit. You know, we know the people.
Well, with
here.
the success of this series, I think people are knowing about it now, or getting to know about it now, especially the Detroit culture. I think it's a great show. But with Suge, I remember, you know, crossing paths with him back in the day, and you're thinking, oh, you know, he's just a big old teddy bear. You could never break through whatever that was. He would never smile.
Right.
I mean, like Biggie would give you a smile. I was around Biggie too. He came to town. We did radio. We did a show. He'd give you a smile every now and again, and a laugh, and something warm.
Suge never broke.
Never. I was like, this man is nuts. For real.
Yeah, no,
he was really, he is that for real.
He was about it. Like, plus, what is he, 6'6"? He's 6'4", 6 something.
6'13".
Yeah, when you see him, he's intimidating, and then the look on his face lets you know that he means it.
Yeah, but no doubt, Death Row has has had a huge impact, and it is truly the soundtrack of our lives. And you can't look at hip hop, especially with hip hop celebrating 50 years this year, without including Death Row and that whole West Coast movement.
Yeah, but you got Tupac's story in there, you got Snoop's story in there. Are they going to tell their side of it, or is it going to be part of Suge's?
Let's hope it's a well-rounded tale.
Suge does what Suge does.
This is true.
And they all know that.
You know who does what they do?
Who?
That doggone Shaka Khan,
yes,
honey. She celebrated 70
years.
This is another year around the sun, her big birthday, in style, with a little help from fellow icon Stevie Wonder and many more at a party in Hollywood's Vortex recording studio. Stevie led the guests in singing Happy Birthday to Shaka before joining her on stage to perform her hit Tell Me Something Good.
That's a great song.
And his Motown classic, Signed, Sealed, Delivered.
I'm yours.
Other notable guests including, you're going to get a check. You're going to get an invoice.
That's just one line.
I know, right? Joni Mitchell, Mike Epps, Tiffany Haddish. She's been back on the scene lately. Good to see her, who jumped on stage to sing Proud Mary. The festivities continued late into the night, with Stevie even bringing in some Chick-fil-A for some of the folks in attendance. You gotta love Shaka Khan, Southside Chicago girl. Her name is Yvette. That's the name her mama gave her.
All right.
And she is just absolutely amazing. And she still's got the pipes. She still, I think her and Gladys and Patty, you know, when you talk about that generation, Shaka's a little younger than them, but they still got it.
They really do. And they're about it too. I like how they're still doing their thing and making things available for us to see them perform. It's so good to see them do what they do.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know, Shaka, you know, started in Rufus. She was the drummer. And she was a hottie because she was with one of the members, married, and then left him and was with another member of the band. So Shaka has got a story on her, but you know, she's just an amazing, amazing voice. And I don't know what R&B, I don't know what music would be without her.
Yes.
Yeah,
indeed.
she's
Shaka
amazing.
Khan. What a great name too. All right, music lovers, we're sorry, but there will not be an American Music Awards this year. Dick Clark Productions has reportedly decided not to do the American Music Awards this year after the Billboard Music Awards took over its usual November air date. There's also talks among music industry professionals that the AMAs are becoming stale. Dick Clark himself created the American Music Awards in 1973 after ABC lost the broadcast rights to the Grammys to CBS.
You know,
Dick Clark was a smart businessman,
he was,
first of all.
and which is why his family will eat off that legacy and his accomplishments for his great grandchildren. I check for the Grammys more than I do the AMAs. I always felt like the AMAs were like the B list compared to the Grammys, you know, A list, and the energy and the prestige of the Grammys. Would I miss the AMAs? No.
Nope.
But I'm not all the way sold on the Billboards either. It's the Grammys for me. That's the one I have to check and make sure. Yeah, it's the Grammys for me. So, you know, as long as they stick around, and I'm sure they will, I'm good.
There's so many awards. I mean, iHeart Awards were just last night. The iHeart Awards, so the the Grammys, the AMAs,
which is starting to blow
Music
up.
Awards,
those iHeart Awards are starting to blow up a bit.
I think there's something to award. I do like watching some of the performances and some of the special moments.
Have you thought the AMAs have been stale in years past?
I have to be honest. I haven't paid attention to them for the last few years. So yes.
And I'm excited about more Black folks. There's a new whole generation of young Black country artists. So I even tapped into the Country Music Awards because there was some chocolate on the stage, and I had to go do some Google searches. And they sound fantastic, and they're bringing us. Well, look, music comes from us. I did my studies. I was going to say,
like country music.
I mean, it all comes from us when you talk about when you talk about the evolving of Black music. But there are some incredible young Black country artists, and they are bringing that thing back, and they sound and they look good. It's rock, it's gospel, and it's all put together in this great country lick kind of way.
Good
indeed.
Good stuff.
All right, up next, y'all know what time it is. This is our favorite time on the show, Bleed Thomas. It's called Black Excellence. Yes, sir.
We'll tell you all about a group of kids from New Orleans who are making history.
You're watching Fox Soul's Black Report. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Fox Soul's Black Report. Rapper Trade the Truth blesses an 82-year-old woman arrested for an unpaid trash bill with a full home makeover.
Yeah, you might remember Miss Martha, who was hauled off to jail right before Christmas for failing to pay a $77 trash bill.
That sounds crazy.
Nuts.
I'm sorry. That sounds crazy.
It was a horrible story.
Didn't mean to cut you off, but that sounds crazy.
You're good, because that's pretty much how everybody felt when the story broke. After spending time at her Alabama home, Trey realized she needed a little help and purchased $15,000 of furniture items that fully refurnished her living room, dining room, and bedroom. Really nice.
Yeah, Trey says the work is far from done and is currently looking to install central heating and a cooling system, fix the foundation of Martha's home to prevent flooding. He also plans to secure a car for Miss Martha. As she says she still doesn't understand how she got on Trey's radar of generosity, but is more than grateful that she did.
So when that story broke, everybody reacted just like you did. It appears as though Trey or his people reached out. They, formed a connection.
Good.
And when he went to visit her at her home, he was like, I gotta help Mama out, Big Mama out.
Isn't that great?
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
Great story.
Yeah,
great
good
story.
job. Good job.
And we need to hear more about that because these rappers, they catch it.
They do.
Sometimes by their own devices, but this is a good story that we need to put out there for sure.
Another story, 2 high school students from New Orleans having solved an impossible math problem and presented it at a recent conference.
Yeah, Kelsia Johnson and Nakia Jackson said they have proven Pythagoras' theorem by using trigonometry without circular logic. I have no idea what that means.
Pythagorean theory.
That too. It was I was horrible in math. It was a discovery that countless mathematicians around the world believed to be impossible to solve for over 2,000 years.
Wow. Now they presented their work at the American Mathematical Society's Southeast annual meeting and were reportedly the only high schoolers at the event, which was attended by math researchers from across the country. The 2 seniors say it wouldn't have been possible without the encouragement of their teachers. Look at them showing love to their teachers.
I know Kelsia and Nakia are planning to get STEM degrees as they move on to college, specializing in environmental engineering and biochemistry. That is amazing, all of that black girl magic, and to be able to solve a math problem that has been having mathematicians across the world pull their hair out for 2,000 years.
I can't even look at that theorem and just be like, I don't even know what you're talking about. You know, that's why we're in communication.
Listen, exactly. That side of my brain does not work.
At all.
Math, chemistry, I did horrible in those classes. I'm not trying to discourage our young soulmates. Do your best. But for Courtney Hicks, it was torture.
It was tough.
And we got to pick, after when we were upperclassmen in high school, we got to pick the remainder of our math classes. And I went the easy way out.
Statistics?
I think the highest I went was geometry. This is a circle, this is a square, this is a rectangle, and I got up on out of high school. I regretted it because once I got to college at Michigan State, they required you take some of that harder stuff. And it was just horrible for me.
Math is not for everyone. Math is definitely not for everyone.
And then they say, you gonna need this when you get older, and you never need that stuff.
No, you know, you have a phone, you can ask your phone stuff, but but as long as I can balance, I was going to say my checkbook, but not that anymore. As long as I can balance my budget, everybody knows what I'm talking about when I say checkbook. When I say checkbook, you know what I mean. Young folks, ask the older folks.
Do you still go to the bank? Do you still go inside the bank?
But I do.
Every now and again, you got to go in there and be like, hey, what's happening here?
You got to put some eyes on them.
That's right.
Where my money at?
That's right. You are a mess. We enjoy you.
But it's cool that young people know their vocation and lean into it early, because if you have something that leans you into math, something that draws you to that, go there. Use that knowledge and grow it, because everybody doesn't have it. That's a gift.
And I'm going to say, I think anybody who chooses STEM is amazing. I just think you're amazing. I do. I've always been artsy fartsy, and I just don't get that. I don't get it. You are so dope. I enjoy having you here for a full rundown
I appreciate you.
on today's stories, like the stories we just talked about and more. You can access FOXSOUL's video on demand on any of our partners. You can even access past shows and other Black-centered content. And don't forget, soulmates, to download that FOXSOUL app. Absolutely free.
It's free?
Yeah.
The FOXSOUL app is free?
It's absolutely free. Is it time for a nap? You've been up for a minute.
No, I'm good for now.
Okay, let's keep going. No.
Yeah, no, I'm good for now. I'll go drink some water. I may sit back for a second. May doze off for a couple minutes, but I'll be right back real strong.
I'm Courtney Hicks.
I'm Lee Thomas, in for Nicordelai Corte. Thanks for sticking with us.
Yeah, FOXSOUL Black Report. We appreciate you. Stay safe. You're so silly.
Power nap, 5 minutes don't count.
I know, right? You got to keep it moving in this business. Absolutely.